This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with
Marney Listed.
Hey, Marn, it's me. I know you're probably doing a million different things, helping a million different people, and taking care of that man. But when you get a chance, give me a call. I got something I want to talk to you about. And, oh, yeah, get me on that podcast of yours. See ya.
October 8th, 2020. Surprise. Marney Liston, I'm taking it over. Just for tonight, though. Yep, so I have the opportunity to host this evening with a not special guest, but special guest, Corey Winfield.
Yeah, it's great to be here on my own podcast as a guest. I get to actually sit in the guest chair. Now, if you want to, you can explain why you're hosting tonight. It's not because you were like, I have a desire to host a podcast, and damn it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, well, you've been asking me to do it for a while, and I've been putting it off.
But what had happened, though?
But what had happened was...
We're gone for a couple days. Like, you were
right.
bitter about something, maybe. I don't know.
No, not so much. You bet me that you would win in fantasy football.
Why would you take that bet?
It was, I don't know, I got suckered into it.
Huh. And you wanted me to go jump in a pool with kids peeing in it.
Right.
Like,
I don't know. I knew I was going to lose it anyway, so. But I was okay with that.
Okay, but if I would have lost, you would have expected me to jump into a pool with kids, like, peeing everywhere.
I would have expected you to swim with your nieces at the hotel pool. Is that the end of the world?
Yeah, it's pee. And I was telling my mom this the other day. I was like, hey, you got to listen to Thursday's podcast because Marnie's going to be hosting it. And the bet, was pretty loving on my side of it. It's like, hey, if you lose, you have to host the podcast. Like, oh no. And I was like, Marnie wants me to go swimming with, Willow and Eva and P from other children who I don't know. Like, that's just not cool. And I was like,
you wanted me to do something you wanted me to do, and I wanted you to do something that I wanted you to do.
No, you wanted me to die in a pool of pee and catch COVID or... Yeah, my mom was like, well, there's like Clorox and stuff. And I'm like, no, there's not. There's bleach or something that kills the pee. I was like, how you know? How you know that person did their job that day?
Well, we're here.
Who knows? They're making, what, $12 an hour maybe? They really don't care.
Okay.
Yep, they just check it off their list.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. I added the pee eliminator in the pool.
We get it.
Meanwhile, they're running around back smoking pot.
All right.
Who knows?
Moving on.
Moving on.
I'm in charge here. What's going on?
All right. Control your guests.
That's right. How's that chair feeling for you?
It's actually very comfortable. I'm glad I was able to purchase this one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's nice.
All right. Well, I came prepared, so you know.
Good.
So. Well, let's just start off, though.
All right.
So, 217 Recovery Podcast. Mm-hmm. How'd you start it?
How did I start it?
Yeah.
Well, I got out of treatment March 15th, 14th, 15th. And I had to go back home to get my car before I went to sober living at Nathan's house in Point City. So when I was at home, it's funny because I told my mom, my stepdad, I was like, hey, I'm starting this company. And, like that next morning, I was up on my computer. I went to the IRS site, got the company's EIN number, figured out what to do next, and I started the company then. And at first it was called Recovery Media, which I think if you go to the IRS, it's still there. Like once you register it, it's there. But it's like Recovery Media and Entertainment or something like that. And then I went to Nathan's house, and then my first thing was to go to Charlottesville County, register the business there, and do the la-da-la-da-da. I know you're like, just get to the podcast part, buddy. But then it was the usual Corey, I'll just wait, and nothing's going to be good enough. And I started looking for, because first I was like, okay, we need an avenue. Like we use Spreaker. Some people use Anchor, and there's a couple other ones too. I was trying to figure out the pricing, and I didn't have any money. So the cheapest was the bestest. And I also wanted a website before I did the podcast. I didn't want to just start Spreaker and then tell people to listen through Spreaker. I wanted there to be a website. I wanted it to be kind of establishing, like, hey, these guys aren't just messing around on a Saturday, So the website was the hardest one to find at first because, like I said, I didn't have a lot of money. And I didn't want to ask anybody for money. So I was just dragging my feet. And, 1 week went by, 2 weeks go by, and then Ryan, Showdick, I think that's his name. Showdick?
You never know his name. You've never gotten it right.
Showdick. Ryan Showdick. Something like that. And so Mr. Showdick, he got out of treatment, and he was in 217 too. Like, he moved to that room after I moved out because he just thought it was such a cool room. He wanted to sleep in my bed. I don't know.
With you?
No, he wanted to sleep in the bed.
With you?
Sexual relationship.
No, he wanted to sleep in the bed that I slept in. Like, he didn't want the covers or sheets changed, I think, maybe. I heard that story wrong. But, no, so he came in 217. So then when he got out, too, he went to Nathan's house, and there was like 5 of us that had been in that room. Not really all at the same time, but there was 4 of us that were in there at the same time, sort of, because Matt left and then Trevor came. Anyway, so he got out, and he told me he was disappointed in me. And I drove through a snowstorm to pick him up. And I remember driving there going, what in the hell am I doing? Like, this is crazy. It's a little Mazda Millennia. I get there, I pick him up, and we're on the way back, and he's just like, to be honest, Corey, I'm disappointed in you. And I thought he was joking, and he wasn't. He was serious. He was like, I thought you would have had this podcast started, the way you were talking about it and, treatment and stuff. And you said that you were going to do it. You promised everybody you were going to do it. And then where are you at? You haven't even started it yet. And it pissed me off, but I needed that. And I looked at him and I was like, you know what? We're starting tomorrow. And I put a thing on Facebook saying, hey, podcast starts tomorrow, 6 p.m. Listen. And then I was like, okay, well, now we got that established. I went and I found this app. It was called Universe. And it was a website that is pretty cookie cutter, but it's through an app. And you can only have it if you have like an iPhone. It was $10 a month. And I figured, all right. And I knew how to create photos and pictures and other apps and using Photoshop that I could import. So the site didn't look that bad for what it was. And a lot of people were surprised. I'm like, yeah, it's this right here. And they're like, what? I mean, the website we have now, 217recovery.com, is a lot better. But for $10 a month, I mean, It wasn't bad. So that's how, I guess, is that what you mean? Or like, how did I get the
and here we are.
Vision? Or
for sure.
When Jesus talked to me about it? Is that what you want to tell?
Right. All right. So what sets an amazing podcast aside from an average podcast? Because you listen to a lot of podcasts.
I do. I like, personally, when I listen to a podcast, I listen to some fantasy football ones, of course. But I want the realness, the personality to come out. In radio, that was something that it was hard to deliver because you're just on the radio doing rock format like I was until I did a morning show, and then it was still kind of like hard to get out of, but just shut up, play the music, do a great tease, and you can do that in under 8 seconds. Keep the music flowing. When you do a bit, when you talk about stuff, boom, 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 pay off, move on. You got to just keep it moving. So, I mean, you can show some personality there, but it's not like a podcast where you can be just, here's my personality and here's what it is. And I'm pretty, I don't know, I would think that I'm open book. Like, what you see is what you get.
I'd agree with that.
I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm never trying, and that's the problem sometimes people don't like because I don't sugarcoat it, and it's just, it is what it is. Eric, I was talking to him the other day, and he was like, I think you're a pretty cool guy. I don't understand why people have a problem with you. And I was like, well, like my mom said, you either hate me or you love me. And there's no in between. But, for those people that are like, oh, Corey does this, Corey does, no, Corey is just this, this is it.
Yeah, I believe that to be true as well.
And you even do stuff with me at night. So you know me more than like most people do.
Right.
Like podcasting at night.
No,
so
you do.
Your dad's listening. You didn't want him to think that we were doing stuff to make babies or anything.
No, you don't sugarcoat things, and you do tell it like it is. And I think that helps you with the other piece I wanted to have you talk about, get your little take on how you explain it, is recovery rides. Transportation that you're doing for 217.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna go kind of full force and full steam ahead, I guess, with that now. And I didn't want to talk about it as much because we haven't really. I mean, we've officially started it and we're helping people, but it's kind of like one of those behind the scenes thing that I think maybe shouldn't be behind the scenes. And once we start getting established with providing rides for different organizations, then I will talk about it a lot more. But, when people go to treatment, and when I went to treatment, my mom, my family, they were done, man. It was my 15th time. And that was court ordered. So my mom was just like, oh, Jesus. Like, I don't even know if she thought I needed treatment again. I mean, I know she thought that I needed to go long term. She'd been saying that for a long time. But again, she's like, what are you going to learn, man? Like, what are they going to teach you that you didn't already know? Mm-hmm. When are you going to start using that stuff? And so for me to ask my family, hey, can you give me a ride up to Boyne Falls, 3.5 hours away? Oh, in the snow, 4.5, and
right.
Thanks. I was like, nah, I'll help you get a bus ticket. She had to, pay like $30 of the bus ticket, maybe more. I don't remember. But that was all I had, just a few dollars and enough to get there. On the way there, we stopped at a few different bus stations, and one of them was in Lansing. And this woman comes up to this dude that's sitting next to me, and she's like, for $40, I'm not sucking your. And I was like, the fool. And he's like, come on, and I was like, wow, I can make $40 right now, like, Jesus, this would be easy. But just kidding about that. You're supposed to hit the laugh track.
Oh, wow.
When something funny.
I'm not used to being on this side.
All right. Anyway, you don't have to hit the laugh track. But yeah, I'm like, what the hell, and then just kind of witnessing drug deals going on by me, and there's a liquor store across the street, and I'm just like, wow, like if I wasn't on probation, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. It's just not a very safe environment. And when people go to treatment, if they don't have a ride, a lot of times they burn a lot of bridges. And I know people that have said, oh, my drug dealer robbed me, and we were, doing drugs all the way up here. And I shut up in the parking lot, I'm like, Jesus Lord, man, like that's just not safe. And, that causes a lot of problems for the treatment centers, because a lot of them are like, hey, don't use on the way up here because we don't have any detox beds. If you get here and you're messed up, we can't really put you in residential. And then they get there, and then then they could tell them no and make them go to a detox place, or it just throws everything out of whack. So to provide transportation for people, and by say people, we're not taking phone calls. We're not like rehab rescue or, hey, come get me from rehab. I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
It's not how we work. We deal with the treatment centers. They call us and say, hey, can you pick this guy up? And we're like, yes, we can.
Yeah.
And we go pick him up, and, and we take him back home as well after they complete treatment, which I think is huge. I already had a guy tell me, he's like, if I had to take the bus, I'd be drinking at the first gas station we stopped at. I'm like, that'd be a waste of 30 days in treatment. Yeah. And he's like, well, I was so frustrated because the organization that got him in there is it's like a mental health organization. They just told him, well, just take the bus home.
Right.
And it was like, it's only like a 3-hour car ride, but it was a 12 or 13-hour bus ride. That's how crazy that was. And he was like, he's like, I would have bought. I was
hoping they make it home.
Bought liquor, and I would have bought some stuff to drink for sure at the first gas station. Mm-hmm. It's like, I was so frustrated. I didn't even care about the 30 days that I just did in treatment. It was already out the window.
Yeah.
Now, at some point, he's going to come face to face with something that annoys him as well. But man, fresh out of treatment to not even go a day, not even go 24 hours. I mean, that's got to be a beat down too. I never drank that quickly after a rehab